Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Every Day is Friday 365 with me, your host, Matty B43. Today, we got a super incredible guest joining us, someone who's doing incredible things in their field. Please welcome Mike.
What's going on, man? Happy to be here, Matt.
Yeah, welcome to the show. For our listeners who may not be familiar with your line of work yet, could you give us a quick rundown of who you are and what you do?
Man, who am I? What I do? My name is Mike Crowson. If I'm on Instagram, it's Mike_CROWSON. What I do is help businesses scale by understanding leads and building out funnels for them. I have a wild background of businesses I've been a part of. Some successful, some have failed, exited from some. But now I really just focus on more of the consulting and focusing on getting leads inside of a business.
Oh, that's really impactful. I mean, getting started, what got you interested in helping fitness and health businesses grow?
Yeah, so when I first started, I would say entrepreneurship, I was a personal trainer. So I basically worked in person. And then one day I look over and there's a gentleman who's like 55 at the time, gray hair, dragon. I mean, wearing a like a Snoopy shirt and flip-flops. And it was like 4:30 in the morning. And I go, is that going to be me? Am I going to be doing this in 40 years? And I was like, I don't think so. So then I went to the online space, and dude, it was terrible. Man, my first year of online in 2012, I made $12,000. So basically, I could hardly afford McDonald's. And then from there, it kind of just like blossomed and kind of grew. I got a different job, and it's actually the only job I've had. And got into obviously competing in bodybuilding when I was also a personal trainer in person. So between like being in fitness and, you know, I wanted to become a pro to make money, and I realized, oh, you don't have to be a pro to make money. It's actually, at this point, it's funny because it's quite the opposite. There's more people that are influencers that make money than there are pros that make money. And so it was just kind of developed of like my passion, what I love to do and what I was about and who I am. And then just figuring out how I could really monetize from it. And then as I just got into doing more things, my eyes just kind of opened up to, this is actually how you're supposed to do it. This is how you actually get leads. This is how you actually get clients. This is the sales process. And, you know, I've been at it for the last 15 years now, grinding it out. So.
Wow, that's a really good point. I mean, thanks for sharing that. I mean, what are some of the hardest things in fitness and health businesses face when they're trying to get bigger?
That's a great question. You know, every type of business is going to have their own hurdles. When it comes to fitness, trying to grow a business, like you got to remember that the number one thing attached to fitness is insecurity. I see all the time, like everybody wants to lose weight when they walk past the mirror, and they change their mind when they walk past the pantry. And so they can't even hold to something throughout one day, more or less, let me go to somebody that I either look up to, idolize, or want to be like, and tell them I suck. It normally just doesn't work that way. And so it used to be really like, you know, easy. Now it's very difficult because by 2030, 70% of the population is going to be overweight. Now, a lot of people think well, it's a very saturated market because we see a lot of fitness stuff online. However, 70% of 330 million is a lot of people. And so really what it is that we call it saturated because you see a lot of great coaches who are also doing great marketing, and then you don't know how to market. So you're like, it's saturated. It's like, no, you just need to learn how to market yourself better. And so the biggest struggles are trying to sell somebody that isn't ready or willing to raise their hand and say, hey, I need to lose weight. Will you help me? Because most people run their business like McDonald's, where I'm just here to take orders. You know, you're a younger cat, but I like to say this to my older audiences, like this is not Field of Dreams. Just because you build it does not mean they're going to come. And so if you don't get that reference listening, I always say, like, ask your parents. They'll know. But you can't just build it and have a website and think people are just going to come and purchase from you. Like, it doesn't work that way. It never has worked that way. You got to market and get yourself out there. And it's talking about your product. It's giving away tons of free information. It's giving away the template, but selling the implementation. Content. Like the best coaches, the best coaching businesses, rather, because a great coach and a great business don't always coincide. I know a lot of great coaches that make no money because they're not willing to do the things they need to do to build the business. They just want to be a great coach. It's like, so you want to be a great employee is what you're telling me. Right? You need to go work at a gym where you can do a great job for them because they're the ones that are going to bring you the clients because you're not willing to do the things for you to get the clients. And so entrepreneurship is not for everybody, but just because you're a great coach doesn't mean you're an entrepreneur either. So it's learning a skill set that you're not great at and then understanding how to meet your lead where they're at versus where you want them to be. I think that's a really big piece that a lot of people miss. I can dive into that phrase if you want me to more, but the idea essentially is, very simply put, inside the business space of coaching of any realm, typically what we're looking for is driven, motivated, educated, hardworking, striving individuals. And what I typically you're describing is somebody that doesn't need you. Because you're that person, you don't need a coach in that area. So why would you want or think other people are going to pay you that are equally just as driven, motivated, dedicated, and hardworking as you? You got to work with people where they're at, not where you want them to be. And that becomes very frustrating for a lot of young entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way. That's really interesting. I mean, how do you help fitness businesses find new people that want to get healthier?
So it's really understanding the content which they need to put out to attract their ideal audience. So I'll give you a great example. Something I've really been on a kick lately in coaching is that we need our bio, we need our free lead magnet, we need our content to have this congruency. I like to call it the trifecta, to where everything speaks to the exact same person in the exact same way. So for a great example, if I teach people on macros, so like I help parents understand macros and get their journey kickstarted, and then my free lead magnet is, here's my 27 steps on how to track your macros that help you kickstart your journey. And then all my content is about food and the macros inside that food. Now all my content speaks to an ideal audience of people wanting to learn about macros. You come to my page through my reel, you see I help people learn macros. And now learn how you can set up your macros with my 27 steps here for free. And that's essentially, it's like understanding, and that's all marketing, right? What we actually do in my company is we build out a funnel first, coaching second. You can find out all, like business coaches for the most part, a lot of stuff they teach, you can just Google. What we do, you can't necessarily Google because building inside of a CRM system isn't necessarily like just click a few buttons and it's done. But everything I just said, anybody can just chat GPT a nice title for my Instagram bio, for a lead magnet title, and hooks for content. But once we get that lead, where do they go? That's what we do, is we build out the back end systems for all that to happen. But I always say, like, once you understand what it is we're trying to do, and that right there alone of like how to get the leads to come in, that's like the hard part to understand. Once you grasp that concept, the funnel then becomes easy. And most people don't realize that. They're like, yeah, build me a funnel. Like, what is a funnel? It's pretty simple. A funnel is nothing more than, I've got something I want to give you for free, but I'll make a deal with you. Give me your name, number, and email. And then once I get your name, number, and email, I want to ensure that you got that free stuff. I want to ask you that you like that free stuff. And then I'm like, would you like more of that stuff? And then we get on a call and I sell you that stuff. And then transactions over and then I deliver that stuff. Like, that's all a funnel actually is. But it's building out the automations and the systems to make all that run smooth and clean and look professional is like essentially what we do. But once you understand like everything I just said, like how simple it actually is, then you go, okay, well, how do I get, what do people want to learn from me? How do I give them more free stuff? And then it comes down to, okay, why am I giving it away? Well, you need to understand your lead to client formula. And every business has one of these. They're just all different. So a lead to client formula would be, let's say that you have 2 sales calls equals 1 client, right? 50% close rate. Well, if I get 10 leads and I book 2 calls from those leads, that means that 10 conversations, 10 leads equals 2 book calls equals 1 client. What's my lead to client formula? It's 10%. 10 conversations, law of averages, 1 client. So instead of waking up today and go, man, how do I get a client? It's like, how do I get 10 people's telephone numbers? That's a lot easier to digest because now I know exactly what I need to do. I need to get 10 people's telephone numbers. And now you create content lead magnets going, what does my ideal audience want that I can give away for free in exchange for that name, number, email? And then that's how you essentially start approaching and building the business.
Well, can I ask you what, like, business tips? What is the most important thing a fitness business should focus on for success?
I think you got to have a great product first and foremost, right? So let's just automatically assume that you're a great coach. The next thing we need to have is, I think, a lead magnet that is effective. And it doesn't have to be complex. And I always like try to add value. So hopefully anybody listening to this, you can take exactly what I'm about to say and go implement it inside your business. If you said that, hey, I'm going to set some people's macros for free tonight while I have some free time, all you got to do is just vote on this poll. And if you want your macros for free, just vote on the poll and I'll reach out. Those people vote. They raise their hand saying, yeah, I would love for you to set my macros for free. You then get on the phone with that person, set their macros, add free value, and then from there, you create a problem. So I solved the problem while creating one at the same time. So I gave you your macros, solved the problem, added value. You're thankful and appreciative of me doing that. The other problem is, how do I track them? Do you have a workout routine? Do you know when to adjust your macros? Where's your accountability? Have you tried this before? Oh, you've yo-yoed in the past, so you want somebody to help you, guide you through and actually sticking to it this time? And now we sell them our solution to the secondary problem that we created. So biggest tips here are add value, help them, and then from there you create a problem, right? So if I use this in my business right now in this exact same scenario, would be, I just told you how to get leads inside your business. The problem, you now have to use your personal cell phone number and text all of those people. Solution, I can automate that and give you a 10-digit business number, and you actually don't have to do any of the work. You just respond back to the people that respond back to that text message, and then you go to a conversation. So you don't actually have to manually track all those people down. Oh, also too, we have an automated macro calculator that you can send people to, so you actually don't have to do any of the work. But you can still use the free game. You can still do it manually. But if you want us to solve that problem of you giving out your personal cell phone number and time and having to count the macros and do all that stuff, we can fix that for you. And that's a prime example of creating a problem inside of a business while solving one. But it makes it to where I help you add value. You can use it and make money from it. But also, too, that also sounds really appealing. And so you want to do that in every type of business. Give something away at free value, which then causes a problem, a good problem to have, right? You want a good problem to have. I'm not like trying to create a problem that like causes damage, but it's like at the same time, if I go, hey, I'm going to run ads for free inside your business. You're like, that sounds amazing. And the problem becomes is like, I don't have time to fulfill these. Well, you're in luck because I provide sales closers for you. Right? So I create a problem inside your business and then solve it. And so that's kind of like how those things work. And that works for every type of business.
No, that's great insight and great information for the listeners. I mean, what's one of the smartest ways a fitness like business can use social media to grow?
I always think free value, free content, free education. A lot of people from the coaching side, they're afraid to like give away free stuff. And the truth is the more free stuff you give away, the more people get to buy into you. The more people buy into you, the more people are going to buy from you. Trust has to happen for a transaction to happen. They have to trust you to give you their telephone number. And they definitely have to trust you to give you their credit card number. And so the more free stuff we put out of you speaking versus you just posing, because there's a difference between a coach and an influencer, is that if we just pose, you're not building trust. You're just building vanity metrics. And then whenever you're educating and teaching and being raw and real and do talking head videos, that actually is going to build more trust. So they go, oh, you also have 2 kids and you also struggle with doing X, Y, and Z. I can relate with that. You're not perfect? Man, I would have never known. All your posing pictures say that you are. So building the trust factor is going to be the best way to get clients. And you do that by being raw, real, and authentic. So it's going to be more about posting reels of you speaking more than reels of you just, doing voiceovers or mimicking or dancing or posing or just working out. I want to hear you speak, man. Like, get on a podcast. Like, get something where you can get some content from it. Educate people. Just be raw and real. Like, that's the truth of it, is the more real you're going to be, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah, you want to stand out. I mean, the fitness industry is very competitive. I mean,
yeah.
Do you have any tips for anyone that wants to stay motivated?
Any tips for somebody who wants to be motivated? Ask that in a different way so I can answer it in a better question. Better answer.
Well, the fitness world is like very competitive. What's one tip you would give helping a business stand out?
So I'm a firm believer that if you want people to buy into who you are, then you need to stand for something. Whether that's political, whether that's your beliefs, whether that's your style or method, like really hold to like your opinion, what it is you believe in. If you're just wishy-washy on every single topic, you actually don't stand out and make a difference, right? For example, like you either love or hate Trump only because he stands for something very strongly and hard, right? Versus how many people have come through like, well, I don't really have an opinion on them. Well, it's because they didn't stand for anything. And so when you look at different types of like political people or sports people or people that like make the news for something, it's because they're standing for something, and either we love it or hate it. Now, most people don't want to stand for something, typically because they're worried about the 3% of people that are going to hate them over it, instead of the 97% of people that are going to love you for it. But we're too afraid of the 2 people talking in the corner to actually go forward with it because, well, I don't want to be judged, and I don't want this, and I don't want that, right? And I kind of felt that way about my faith for a while, to where it's like, well, not everybody is a Christian. But at the same time, I'm like, but what about all the people that are? That would stand with me because they have the same beliefs, right? Or like, what are my thoughts about like where this world's going as far as like health and obesity? And we're worried so much about like, body image or like, my body, my choices and all these things. And I'm like, but actually that's not true because it's my tax dollars that have to pay for those things. But like, so it's like when you really stand for something, other people go, yeah, I also agree with that. Now, that doesn't mean like you point fingers or you're like mean or this or that, whatever, right? That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying is like, this is my opinion. This is what I believe in. And I want other people to basically become a part of that movement, right? And obviously at this point in age, like, and not to get political by any means, but one side is building more of a movement than the other, and it's becoming super loud, and the other people are afraid to stand up against it because when you are, fingers pointed at and called you racist or a bigot or because you have a belief, and if you stand up for it, then you're ridiculed for it, right? So that's where it becomes is like, I think now more than ever is like whatever you believe in, you should go for it and stand up for it and believe in it. That doesn't mean point a finger at somebody else, say they're wrong. It just says that, hey, we're just different, but this is my belief. And I'm not wrong for my belief, right? Like my opinion on how to get leads is to give away the house. Some people be like, I don't believe that. I'm not going to be like, well, you're an idiot. You know what I mean? Like, cool, you keep doing what you do. I'm going to do me because it's working. But that's my belief, and that's what I stand for. That's what I believe in, right? It's free value education. So it's kind of that same concept. It's like, if this is what you believe in, stand up for it because people will then get around you and move forward with you. Everybody wants to be a part of a community, right? I didn't say cult. I said community.
No, I'm sure that's a great takeaway. I'm sure a lot of listeners will resonate with that one. I mean, what's one of the biggest mistakes businesses make when they're sale funnels, and how do you fix it?
One of the biggest mistakes I think I typically see, again, is the first one be thinking people are just going to come to you because you built something. Another mistake trying to get clients and not leads. A great example of that, if you in your business are basically saying, we're looking for these people. So for a great example, you've maybe seen it before, you might not, depending on the space, but I'm looking for 5 people ready to take action, looking to do X, Y, and Z. DM me the keyword, blah, blah, for us to get started. Or if you're ready to get started, fill out my application. And you're basically, what you're looking for is hot leads. Hot leads just don't happen, right? We got to build trust. We need education. Somebody's giving away something for free and you're asking me to pay you for it. So it's kind of like this. All right, I'm helping my dad get an apartment right now. And I just always try to use practical examples, right? Because I need you to be able to like actually understand the why, not just the what, right? When you go look at an apartment, you don't have to apply before you look and learn. You look at it, you see the paint on the walls, you check it all out, you check out the parking lot, where's my commute, et cetera, and you're like, I like it. I'm ready to apply. Great. Which means that I'm not ready to apply until I'm ready to buy. But too many people in the fitness industry will put applications first, conversations second. It's like, why would you think somebody's going to apply to work with you when they don't even know how to pronounce your last name? Right? Don't you think they'd want to learn from you before they would want to then apply to work with you? And so the biggest difference is, I learned this in the e-commerce world, and some of you guys will know what this Shopify tracker is behind me, but the average website conversion rate is 3%. So 7-figure, 8-figure, 9-figure companies, the average conversion rate is 3%, only 3. The average pop-up on a website is between 30 and 35%. Which means that even though 30% of people get that 15% off, only 3% of total traffic purchases. But yet we think, as coaches who haven't spent tens of thousands of dollars on employees trying to optimize that landing page and all of our copy and imagery to get it to a 4%, and we still can't do it, yours is going to just work so fantastically. It doesn't work. And the truth is most coaches don't have the volume. You don't have 1 million followers, so you can't play a 1 million follower game. 1 million followers, even though they're sending people to a website to purchase, they're playing a volume game, not the conversion game. Which means that if their goal is to make 10 grand a month, they can send traffic and the conversion rate's terrible. However, it still prints $10,000 versus them could have been printed maybe $50,000 or $60,000 if they focus on the conversion rate. But typically that requires more work involved. And at that point they go, juice ain't worth the squeeze. It's also like saying, in a practical sense, I'm 5'3". I'm not. I'm 6 foot. But if you're 5'3" and you're playing basketball against somebody that's 7 foot, you can't play the same strategy. You both can't stand in the paint, and you at 5'3" expect to win against my 7 foot. You got to play the perimeter. You got to stick to your strengths. And if you're a smaller coach, your strength is not going to be playing a volume strategy. It's going to be focused on a conversion strategy, which leads me to the next phrase I use typically is conversation over application. Again, if I can have 10 conversations, I can sell 1 client. It's not if I get 2 applications, I get 1 client. It's a different strategy, different approach.
Yeah, what's the numbers do you look at the most when you're working on a sales funnel?
All right, so KPIs. So everyone's is different, but for the most part, I really try to focus on, one is like, are we getting leads, yes or no? Okay. From us getting those leads, how many of those leads can we get to book a call? That's a big number that we want to try to like get as high as possible. Because if we never have a sales call, we actually never get to have a pitch, right? And if I have 1,000 leads but get 5 calls, like, well, we suck, right? We gotta narrow that gap down. And so you want to try to get that lead to book call rate as high as possible. The next phase we want to look at is, are those people that book calls showing up to the call? Because yeah, they booked a call, but what's your show up rate? Right? And so we want those people to show up on the call. So let's say that you book 3 calls, but 2 show, right? 66% conversion rate of show up. We want to try to get that high as possible, right? But typically you're wanting to look at a 75% plus. That's goals. Like you want to get there, especially at scale and volume, right? If you get like 4 book calls a month, it's really hard to track metrics because you don't have enough volume for it to work, right? Because if it's 2 people don't show up, it's like 50%. And you're like, that's good or it's bad. But it's like, you only had 4 people. Like 1 person comes in, it skews the entire thing because the difference between 4 and 5 is, 20%. It's a massive difference, right? So at scale, and I say scale, like above 20, right? Let's just say above 20 book calls or leads or something of that nature. We want to have a higher rate there. And then from there is like, what's our close rate? Like how many people did we sell our product to that we pitched to? And then from there, you can be like, what's my like lifetime value or my churn rate? It's like, how long did that person pay me? How much money did they pay me? And this is something else to consider too, is like, it's much easier to sell 10 people a $1,000 thing than it is to sell 10,000 people $1 thing. Like it's so much easier to sell 10 people at $1,000. Like it's not even close. Because again, we're talking volume. If you have 2,000 followers, how are you going to sell 10,000 people? You don't have that reach. And then you have to have, a lot of those people still need trust. And then there's perceived value. It's like $1, that product's probably pretty crappy. I don't want that. I want a better product. I'm worth more than that. And so people are willing to spend more money to have the best or something better than the cheapest. Most people don't buy the cheapest thing. They buy the like second to third cheapest thing. It's like, it ain't the worst, but this is good enough. So you want to make sure that it's in a realm that is perceived value more than likely worth the money.
No, that makes sense. Probably make 3 plans and then shoot at the one in the middle, you're saying.
So it is whenever you're selling something like at a concession stand, right? You got the small, medium, large. You bump the mid price closer to the large. If you're wanting to sell more larges, you bump the mid down closer to the small if you're trying to sell more mids. Because it's like, well, for only an extra $1, we can get this one. Versus it's a $3 gap to go up. Oh, we don't want to do that. That's too much. Let's just take this one. We don't want the cheapest one, but we'll take this one because it's like relatively close for the value. Now, when you're selling a service online, I don't suggest you have multiple things. I suggest you have one thing that you sell on 2 different durations. A service, for example, coaching, you'd want to sell like a 4 and 6 month or a 6 and 12 month, preferably, especially for beginners. Like 6 month, 12 month. These are the 2 options. Because from there, it goes, which one do you want? If you sell one thing, it's yes or no. Yes or no leaves them walking out the door. This or that makes them go, which one do I want? Versus then they have to come up with the third option, which is no. Right? Because when I say, hey man, just out of curiosity, do you prefer Saturday or Sunday? But like, actually, I prefer Tuesday. Versus like, is Tuesday the favorite day of the week for you? No. And then you actually don't get an answer. Right? They pick nothing. So at least one gives you the out of, I'm going to collect either way, or they have to come up with their own answer of saying no. Because typically what happens is they go, do I have to pay in full? So, okay, so we're still talking about you moving forward versus no. See that make sense?
No, it's a great takeaway.
And it also allows you to like downsell, right? So look at it like this. When you walk into like a Chevrolet dealership, right? And they're like, what's in the front? Closest to the door, the nicest stuff. Like, man, this is decked out, $160,000 Escalade, murdered out with the tan interior. You're like, dang, that looks good. And they're like, yeah, we just got this puppy in. She's nice. What do you like about it? Man, I like the all black with the tan interior. That is clean. They're like, but it's way out of my budget. I can't spend that. Well, actually, you know what? I don't know if they put it out yet, but we just got this brand new Trailblazer. Looks the exact same thing, fully loaded, just like it. Only $65,000. You're like, really? My budget when I came to the lot was $40,000. But we price anchor. These are the features I like. Drop. And that's where you go from a 6-month to a monthly. Here's the real truth. Everything's expensive. The first price you put out, that's expensive. The second price, that's expensive. But realistically, we don't say the second price is expensive. We say it's not as much as the first one. And so you price anchor and come down. Because if I say, yeah, it's $300 a month, you go, that's expensive. And guess what? You got nowhere to go. You start at the bottom. But if I said, yeah, so my 6 months is $1,500, and then they say, I just can't do it. And then, you do your spiel, whatever, and you're like, I could do monthly at $300. Like, that's not bad. But if I started with the $300, they're like, that's expensive. So it's really just price anchoring as things come down. And if you don't believe me in price anchoring, how many women go shopping and go, guess how much money I saved? I saved $47. I'm like, how much did you spend? $50, but I saved. I'm like, it's not really $100. It never was $100. That's a marketing tactic to say you saved X amount because we're focused on the savings versus the value, right? And that's where the men and women differences usually come into play. It's like, how much did I spend versus how much did I save, right? It's also a different type of sales tactic, but that's a big difference too there. There's a lot of different ways to sell a lot of different things. It really just depends on what is your product or service. And then the other piece of this, in my mind, is this a one-time purchase or is this a reoccurring purchase? Because that plays a really big role in it too. Because if you sell something that's a one-time purchase with an extreme discount, you're forever going to have to sell it at the extreme discount. We got all those people that are like Black Friday shoppers, right? They don't buy nothing all year unless it's completely discounted. Versus when you go shop at, let's say, Gucci, it's never discounted, so it doesn't matter when you buy it. It's just when you decide to. You don't have to wait for a Gucci sale because there's no such thing. So it's mentality of your buyers and the type of product in which you're selling. That's why you can't go to McDonald's and be like, yeah, so today it's discounted. It's like, no, it's the same price all the time. Because if it's discounted only on Fridays, guess when you're not coming? Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And so you got to understand the buying mentality of your product and your audience so that they coincide and align. And that's why you typically see something like a retail place. They don't do discounts. They do special offers to where it's like limited time pumpkin spice. And actually, they raise the price. So you do limited time things instead of discounted things. There's tons of stuff. I can keep going, but.
No, that's such an important thought. I mean, I'm glad you said it. I mean, you've helped over 600 businesses. Can you tell us about a business you've helped and saw big results from?
Man, that's very vague. Yeah, I've worked. Okay, so just quick background. So I was a co-founder of Rise Supplements. If you don't know, it's a big supplement company at this point. And I exited out of that early on, and I started my own coffee company, which is kind of like where this came from here, Shopify. And then I, from there, started a marketing agency where at that point I worked with over 100 different e-commerce fitness businesses where we sold anything from like healthy peanut butter to apparel, from sports bras to coffee to training, like really you name it. Somebody selling something in the fitness industry, I've probably touched it of some degree. And there's a lot of different moving pieces there. Like worked with a cookie company that did millions in sales with a launch strategy, and I was honored to be able to do that and just be a part of it. I don't take any credit for anything that I've done because it's meaning moving pieces to make things happen. But one of my guys did bring up to me 2 months ago that through the people that we've worked with, we've done something for enough companies that have generated like 9 figures. And I thought that was like really cool. I I also sound like a complete D-bag when I say that because I'm like, I feel like there's an ick attached to that, but it is a reality, so that is pretty neat. Because I don't take credit for those type of things, I guess is what I'm trying to say, right? I can't take credit for my clients losing weight, right? Like, I didn't do it. I mean, yeah, they worked with me, but I didn't do the steps. I didn't eat the chicken and rice, right? Like, so that's kind of where that's at. But when I started the marketing agency, you got to see a lot of different things, and then got into the coaching side. Now we do local marketing as well. I'd say the coolest things is being able to take somebody that, let's say, is doing a few thousand a month, right? And they're kind of like just solopreneur. And being able to take that person and like double their income is really cool compared to helping a business that does 100 a month go to 200 a month. It's like, it's just another ticker. You know, it's not an individual that went from I could hardly pay my bills to now I'm buying my daughter X, Y, and Z. Like that, I just got a more fill spot for that. And I think it's really because when I started back in the day, you know, in 2012, it's like, how much different would my life been if I could have just got to $5,000 a month, more or less 10, you know? So I think that's just the biggest difference is helping somebody go from 0 to 60, not 60 to 120, and not from 120 to 500. That's not as cool because it's not as life-changing. The only person's life that changes is the CEO's, and he already had enough money to begin with anyway. Not that it's not cool to be a part of something big, but it's not as impactful as the individual because you can't see that person's face whenever that life child changes and they sell somebody for $2,000. They're like, oh my God, I cannot believe this. I sold more in the last week than I did the last 2 months. It's like, what's going on? It's like, welcome. Like, I'm glad it's working for you. It's really
It's
cool.
remarkable. It's remarkable. I mean, you've been in the industry for a very long time now, you've been saying. I mean, has there been any like big changes in the fitness and health business you've been noticing so far?
Yeah, there's a lot of changes that have happened. It used to be to where you could just like slap up an email and people would inquire. That doesn't work anymore. There's too much education out there. There's too many hands in the pot. There's too many ads going up. It's easier than ever to run an ad. You know, whether it's good or not, it's a different story, but you can still spend the money and get in front of somebody. I never want to point out the negatives about the industry because why give anything like that attention? But there can be people that water down stuff, right? Where it's like not giving the full service that's needed. And that's like new coaches, small coaches, big coaches, old coaches. Like that's just a thing. That's a character thing more so than anything, not a marketing thing by any means. Because marketing sometimes gets a bad rap. How about this? Marketing gets a bad rap from people that don't know how to market. Because like, I'm a great coach. You got all these young idiots out here that don't know anything making all this money. And it's like, you sound bitter because you don't know how to do the things they're doing that are making them money. And so you want to point a finger. And that's something I actually don't like at all. Because it means you're like, you know, they're saying you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Like they're the ones saying it, not me. Because they're not willing to do the things to move forward, right? So that's like typically those type of individuals, they're being their own worst client. Where it's like, hey, you need to eat better. And it's like, but I don't want to. And it's just like, what are we complaining about then? Why are you complaining about being overweight if you're not willing to make the change? Why are you complaining about your business not growing if you're not willing to post on social media? Like, if you're not willing to do the things, why are you complaining about it? And that irks me is like, is somebody doing the things they need to do to build a business, or are we just complaining? Right? I'm a big believer that if you just say you wish for something, you're just positively complaining.
Mm.
Because if you wanted it, you would devise a plan to get it. If you wish for it, you don't care about enough to make a plan to get it. Does that make sense?
No, that's a really good. That's really remarkable. I mean, for someone that's, I mean, how do you build a relationship with like a customer that's overwhelmed?
meeting them where they're at versus where you want them to be. A great example is again, another metaphor, right? If you want somebody to complete a marathon, you got to walk it with them. You can't yell at them from the finish line. Trust is built in the journey, right? So if we want somebody to build a relationship and trust us and move forward, I need to help you take the first step, not just wait for you to like run 3 miles and be like, all right, now I'll help you. Right? Not different levels of business or different ways, but like, hey, if you're like just starting out, you have all the time in the world. So why aren't you doing all the extra steps to help somebody? Right? And then when you get busy, then it's like, yeah, we start to work with people that are more committed. However, that also means that you're just cutting off more opportunities, but you also have less time, so you need your opportunities to be a little bit warmer. Right? Saying no, you start to say no to more things, the more successful you become. And that's the biggest difference. Is in the beginning, you should say yes to every opportunity because you don't have any opportunities. And as you get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger in business, like eventually you get to where like, I don't do podcasts with people. I don't take any sales calls. Like I only work with my team and work on the business. I do nothing else that requires something that an admin can do. We say no to everything, right? That's the biggest difference is that when you see a CEO of a 9-figure company and somebody that's making $9,000 a year, they say yes to everything. And the CEO of this company is like, you can't even get a hold of them via email, text message, call. You can't even go to the office and see them. No to seeing my face because they have to focus on their task and their task alone because the bigger we get, the more demands that require of us. So we have to limit those things.
No, that's a great takeaway. I mean, I have to ask you this one though. I mean, how do you keep that like that? How do you keep the automation without losing that personal touch with the customer?
Great question. So most people, when they think automations, at this day and age, they think AI. We don't do AI. We have AI capabilities, but I don't like it. So to keep an automation humanized is really simple. Speak like a human. Whenever you receive a text message from a supplement company about their new offer that they just released, it always looks the same. It's the same. Here's the text, here's the company name, stop to opt out, etc., etc. So that is a like one-to-many bulk blast, right? A campaign, if you would. That's how people think that they should send out their text messages and automations. It's actually quite the opposite. What we set up for coaches is that we want to send out a staccato style message. And a staccato basically means like 1, 2, 3 messages. The 30-second timer in between those. And the reason being is that if I send one big bulk message, what's your assumption? It's fake. But if I sent 3 small ones, doesn't that seem a little bit more authentic? Why? Because that's how I text my boys. Text at the end, haha. So like we'll purposely add, let's say, like super basic, 2 Y's on hey instead of 1. We're going to say, what's up, not capitalize the W. Right? How would you text your people, your audience, your ideal client? Would you act like a corporation or would you be real and authentic? Are they going to text you back with the same grammar? Probably not. So when I speak to them, I want to actually speak to them. I don't want to speak at them from this like perfect tone. We'll purposely misspell words with the followed up corrected word with haha after it. And if that's not the smartest thing you've ever heard in automation, I don't know what is, but I promise you if you received that from me, you would have no idea that was automated, and that's intentional because it's not here to fool you per se. It's here to replace me doing the task of sending out messages to 100 people at the same time. It's letting me send out check-ins to my clients all at the same time instead of me manually having to do it. It's me being able to text message a lead within the first 5 minutes because if I can get in contact with them within the first 5 minutes, I have a 40% greater chance of them moving forward with my program. But as a human, I cannot text message every single person within 5 minutes as soon as the lead comes in. Like, that's not physically possible. Automations allow us to do that, focusing on conversion versus volume. So really all we want to do in the automation world is just be you. And then once the person responds back to that initial text message, then it goes to a manual conversation where you pick it up. And so now you're going through a normal text message conversation through a 10-digit number that we give you that you can do through the app, right? That we have. But again, the idea is, I'm not selling my product here, I'm selling is the automation is like, you got to be super authentic. Like, that's the key, is like super authentic, be super real. Timing is everything as well, right? Like, don't send out text messages every day at 11 a.m. on the dot. Like, if I see 2 text messages that are 11 and then 11 because I didn't respond to the one the day before, I know that's fake. But if one's at 11:17 and one's at 1:43, that doesn't seem as fake. It's like little things like that. You know what I mean? It's like just like psychology pieces. And also, too, like when we send out automated text messages, traditionally, most people think, well, I'm just going to send them a text. And it's like, no. We want to send a question because I need a response. Let me know if you need anything. It's like, congratulations, you just killed the conversation, aka killed the sale. Versus, so why did you download that ebook? Are you trying to lose weight right now, or are you trying to build muscle? Oh, I'm trying to do this. Another big mistake a lot of people do when they do automations is like, first question's like, what's your goal? Oh, so you want me to spill the beans to somebody I don't really actually know that well? You want me to tell you everything? Man, I ain't got time for that, man. My goal is huge. I got big aspirations. Or, that's way too deep. I don't know you well enough to tell you all my insecurities on how much weight I want to lose. So we go super shallow, right? Like this or this. And here's a great way from a conversation standpoint, right? So every new follower, right, write this down. Every new follower you get on social media, you need to send a message to. Every new follower. When they come in, for example, you start following me, we're going to have a conversation. I'm going to send you a message. And it's going to say, hey, what's going on? Name. I always want to address you, right? Because, well, that's authentic and real. Always address their name. Second thing, second message, right? Staccato, 1, 2, 3. I just want to tell you thank you. I appreciate the love and support. Give me the follow. Send. Number 3. Did you come in for the content, or are you looking to learn more about building a lead generation funnel in your business? This or that? You looking for free stuff, or you want to move forward? I'm here to learn. Awesome. We've got a lot of great stuff. Well, I can point you in the right direction with the content. Tell me about the business. How long you been doing it? I get to ask question, which then feeds the next question. So my coffee company, right? One of the things that we did, every new follower, same thing. What's going on? Name. Thanks for the follow. Blah. We'll always like to ask everybody that's new to the page, do you prefer to drink your coffee black or with a little bit of cream? I like mine with a little bit of cream. Man, me too. I don't know how they drink it dark. Do you prefer to have your coffee dark roast or light roast? I prefer light roast. Same. Do you prefer high caffeine or low caffeine, right? And we just ask the questions, and then eventually we go, yeah, so it sounds like this messy bun flavor is going to be a perfect fit for you based on everything you just told me. It's light roast, it's high caffeine, it's pre-ground, and it's really light on the palate, and it works really well with milk. I prefer half and half personally, but it works well with any type of cream. Awesome. Not a giant cinnamon flavor, though. Totally get it. My second best option is going to be our vanilla hazelnut. So it's like we laid the groundwork to pitch the sale, and they had no idea, because we're doing this or that, this or that, this, that, about the product in which they wanted to follow about. Nothing where did I say, buy my stuff, or let me know if you have any questions. You know, I want to get very specific, and that's really what sales are about. That's what I just did, though, was actually lead nurturing. I nurtured the person to where we had an authentic, real conversation for them to learn about me, my business. More importantly, me learn about them, me validate their answers, and then ask more questions, ask more questions, ask more questions. You know, the best people that you talk to are the ones that ask the most questions. If they're like me on this podcast right now and all you do is all the talking, they're like, I don't want to talk to that person. All they do is talk about themselves.
No, it's a great takeaway at the end of the day. I mean, you had to like keep on open-ended questions for them to just keep on replying to your messages. I want to throw this one at you. I heard this sales tactic a while back that like if you ask them like what was their weight back in high school and they just tell you like wouldn't you want to be back at that weight again? Like and then it gets their mind going.
So there's two things to that. Is one, you're implying that they need to lose weight. So I don't suggest that actually happen. However, what we're actually trying to do there is make an emotional connection. So when we ask them, you know, like, so at that point, let's say we're in the conversation, like, you know, okay, so like, why are you wanting to track your macros? So like, I'm wanting to lose 20 pounds. Why do you want to lose 20 pounds? I want to be fitter for my kids and I want to get back to my high school weight. Why do you want to be fitter for your kids and go back to your high school weight? I just feel like, you know, I want to be a great example for them because I feel like I'm out of shape. I'm not the man I need to be and the leader I need to be. In high school, I really just felt better. Why do you want to be an example and a leader for your kids? And why do you want to have that look that you had back in high school? Man, I felt better when I was back then. I had more confidence then. And I want my kids to look at me and be like, that's my dad. I don't want people to go, that's your dad? Dude, I totally understand and get all of that. I can really see why this is so important to you to lose this weight. Let's talk about how we can make that happen so you can be that superhero for your kid and be that example for him. He answered all of the reasons on why he needs my program. I didn't say anything. I just asked why. See, the one that talks the most loses in the sales conversation. Because if now he goes, well, why do you do that in your program? Well, why do you track macros? He is then taking the power, and I'm answering all his questions. But what happens is what you need to do is they go, why would you do that? Well, that's a great question. So this is essentially why we do that. But let me ask you this. Why do you think that's important? And you flip it back to asking them the question. Because you have to be in power and control of the conversation so you can navigate it in the direction you want it to go. So I never want to imply on their behalf that they need to do something, but I will then ask them why they want to do it. And you have to get, it has to be one, their idea. Well, first of all, it's got to be their idea to lose weight. You can't tell them they need to lose weight, right? Like that's a big no-no. Or really anything, like you need to make more money, man. And it's like, dude, F you. I'm perfectly happy where I'm at. You know, versus like, so what's your goals this year? Why do you want to make that much money? I want to be, you know, I want to be able to take my family to do X, Y, Z. Dude, I totally get that. Taking my family on vacation has been amazing. I love doing that. And being able to afford it and not have to worry about it. Dude, what a great feeling to take everybody to Disney World. Dude, I freaking love that for you. Do you have a plan right now to get there? No. Well, have you thought about it? How you're going to get there? And that's where it starts to dive into it. So you make the emotional connection. So typically people sell is the metrics of their program. Anything they sell the metrics. What we have to sell is actually the emotions. Emotions over metrics, especially in fitness, right? Think about it like this. When I'm talking to Becky about losing weight, who's a mom of 2, who drinks wine every night, she wants to lose 25 pounds. That's what she wants. What she actually wants is to go to Lululemon and try on clothes and not walk out depressed. What she actually wants is that on Taco Tuesdays with the girlfriends that she's not the one always designating herself, the one that's going to take the photo. What she actually wants is to be able to send out a Christmas card with her brand new husband and brand new newborn, and then be like super proud of the way she looks instead of standing behind her husband as the husband holds the kid. She wants that, not the 25 pounds. And so when we talk about this program, we want to sell that dream outcome that she told me she wanted instead of the chicken, the broccoli, and the sweat. Because, well, the reason that they are 25 pounds overweight is because they don't want to do chicken, broccoli, and sweat. Or they would already be 25 pounds less. So we sell them what they want, give them what they need. They need a diet, but we got to meet them where they're at and realize, like, hey, we should probably do other things besides straight into chicken, broccoli, and cardio and dieting and all this stuff that they don't want to do. So we sell them what it is they want to go, and then we devise a plan on how to help them get there. Never once do I say, so you're going to work out 5 days a week. We're going to do 30 minutes of cardio 4 days a week. And on top of that, we're going to restrict your carbs. We're going to up our greens, right? We're going to get those leafies up. They're like, this sounds miserable. I'll just buy a bigger bikini. You see what I'm saying? Like, metrics are hard to get somebody to go, yeah, let me do all that hard stuff. It's like, no, I really want is just this dream outcome, and we're going to get there together. Do you believe I can help you get there? Yes. Then let's get started.
Wow, I mean, I can tell you thought a lot about this. That's a good point.
Well, I've explained this a lot because I've had over like 800 coaches on calls at this point, like teaching these things. Remember I told you, like, I give away the house, man. Like, I want you to be successful. I build funnels for people. I give away coaching. Because even with you being an amazing coach, and I say the coaching is like what we give, like, I can teach you all the marketing stuff, but what's the problem which I've created? You still need them to go into a funnel. Right? I told you how you need to set up a funnel. I told you need to create automations that are real and authentic. I've told you timing and all this kind of stuff, but it's like, great, how are you going to do it? You know what I mean? And that's not like an egotistical thing. That's just like, hey, you're really good at what you do. I know you're a great coach. It doesn't mean you're great at building funnels. Doesn't mean you can't do it. But that also means that the person that's new in the gym is not going to be that great at probably squatting. They need a lot of reps to get really good at it. It's not that they can't. It's just going to take time, and time is money. And you'd get there a lot faster if you had somebody correct your form in the beginning so you didn't learn bad habits. So a little bit of money goes a long ways, especially in business, because either you're going to spend the money regardless. Either you're going to waste it learning, or you're going to give it to somebody that you're going to get great product that you can get moving quickly and faster. Like, you're going to spend it. I'll give you a great example of that. In 2020, right, the year of e-commerce boom, really, I spent $1.2 million on ads for my coffee company. And my selfish self didn't want to hire somebody that was a professional to help run the ads. I probably lost like $300,000 or $400,000 worth of profit because I was like, I can do it, even though I'd never spent that kind of money. I was like, I'll figure it out. I could have paid somebody $20,000 a month, and I would have made more money because I would have put a professional in the place that would have prevented me from losing money. So you're going to spend it either on a great employee, a great team, or you wasting it in the process trying to learn how to become great. Does that make sense?
Wow, that's such an important message. I'm glad you brought it up.
It took me a long time, I think, to get there, and that's something I try to tell people now. Like, that doesn't mean like, hey, go buy the most expensive thing, right? But it does mean that if you don't invest in yourself, you're going to be spending it some shape, form, or fashion in another way. So either you can invest into learning yourself or invest into learning from somebody else, or don't try to learn at all and just throw money at something and see if it works. I always try to tell people, they're like, well, let me do all the things you said before I get started with like a funnel. And it's like, great. I love that idea. However, you're going to do all the things I'm talking about on social, and then you're going to have like low conversion rates because you're not doing speed to lead. You don't have great show-up rates because you don't have automations coming to the calls. It's not professional and clean. And so as much as you're doing it, you're not doing it to the full capability. And because you don't have 1 million followers, you need the highest conversion rate possible. So it's really important that you do it right to begin with versus like, I'll come back and do it later. It's like, well, Yeah, but the last 6 months, you've wasted all those leads that you could have converted like a lot simpler if we had the right things put in place.
Is it mostly about growing a brand and like?
It's about growing a personal brand. It's people buy the coach, not the coaching. So it's all about buying you. No one cares about your brand name. No one cares what your LLC is. No one cares what your website is. Is Mike a good dude? Do I trust him? And do I believe that he can help me? Yes or no? That's it. Not Mike has AR. Man, AR is this and AR is that. It's like, no, they came in because of Mike. Or they came in because of my partner Baker. Or they came in from one of my teammates, Felicity. Right? Or whoever. It's like they came in because of the individual, not the business. Because here's the truth. It's like your Instagram is your business card. They're not going to share your business Instagram handle. They're going to share your Instagram handle. And so whenever you try to run your Instagram like a business, you're trying to sell the coaching or the product and try to selling yourself. So focus on you. Like, again, like the stand for something thing, right? People want to buy into you, not your product. But as I like you, I'll buy whatever it is you sell, right? Think about it like this. Trump can sell socks, and people's going to be like, I'm getting those socks because, well, I love Trump. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good takeaway.
So, like, you got to build you, and then you can sell whatever it is you want.
For like one thing, if someone's trying to like build a personal brand, I mean, what's one thing that they can grow their business?
So to grow the business, first thing I do is grow the personal brand. You got to grow the social. A lot of people try to monetize immediately, and that's difficult because it's like, you don't know me, and I just started posting, but buy my stuff. You got to build a following before you can preach to the following, right? So you got to create it first. And so first and foremost is, again, add value, help as many people as possible for free, which then creates a following. But from there, it's also, you got to put out education. We got to put out reels. We got to talk to the audience. You got to be on your stories, chatting as well and talking. It's preferably that we stand for something. I want you to tell me about your family. I want you to tell me about your dogs. I want you to tell me that you like to go golfing. I want you to tell me that you suck at golfing. I want you to tell me like all the real ins and outs of like who you are and what you're about. So that I can know, hey man, Mike Crowson is this thing. He is this person. This is what he's about. This is what he believes in. Oh, Mike Crowson's selling donuts. Hey man, I want to support Mike Crowson. I like Mike Crowson.
It's a really
I don't
good
know
point.
a damn thing about the donuts or the name of it, but I know they're Mike Crowson's donuts.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way. That's very interesting.
Well, that's because typically the approach is that, well, if I build it, it'll sell. It's like, no, who's selling it? Somebody has to sell it. There are more products that never make it to market that are amazing than ones that actually make it to market that are subpar. They just don't know how to market.
No, that's such an important message. I'm glad you brought it up. Hey, Mike, thank you for coming on to Every Day is Friday. Go chase your dreams because your dreams will not chase you. You got anything for the listeners? Last words?
Man, action. You got to take action. The number one thing that I preach is taking action. You got to go for it. Another thing I want to say is that, man, if you're just unsure and you're, well, let's just say hard on yourself and you're a perfectionist, there's no amount of books you're going to read or podcasts you're going to listen to or YouTube videos you're going to watch that are actually going to make a difference unless you do something about it. So if it's 80% of what you want, go for it, post it, do it, send it. You got to take action because the truth is it's never going to be perfect. And for all my fitness people out there, man, if you'll just treat your business like you do your fitness and fail every day, you'll get 1% better there too.
Go chase your dreams because your dreams will not chase you. I appreciate you, Mike. Every day is Friday.
Appreciate it, man.